I'm happy to be back on to Bosco conferences. I've been here before. Maybe some of you know me already. It's been a long time meanwhile, but now this viral option of giving speeches on a conference is of course a nice invention to be back online. On the other hand, I always enjoyed being together with the people, talking, discussing at the conference itself, but obviously, oh, here comes so now it's a good chance to be back and to talk to each other, although it's not the same. As we all know, it was always good to see each other and to look into each other's eyes while discussing the various topics, and also having the chance to laugh with each other. Well, but still, this is a good chance. And also it gives a good opportunity to give you an insight from where we are. And today's speech again is, and this is on purpose, of course, to give you some impressions about Liechtenstein as a financial center. In the back, you can see also Liechtenstein, what it is, from the window from my office. So if we look down the road here, you can almost oversee the whole country. So it's not a big country, and it has almost 40,000 inhabitants. But I think, as the saying of Charles Darwin says, it is not it's not the strongest who survive, but the ones who are most responsive to change. And I think this is one of the big strengths of Liechtenstein, to be innovative and open for changes on the one hand, and on the other hand, and this is part of my presentation today, that we have to see that the world has changed. We can not only look into within the eyes of ourselves, but we have to look around, and we have to accept that an international financial place has to adopt, respectively, to respect the rules of other countries, especially when you deal with clients from abroad. And I think this is the business of the financial center Liechtenstein for a good number of decades already. Well, I'm trying to slide over here. Yeah. Just a few features about Liechtenstein. We are in the heart of Europe. It has a political stability through a constitutional hereditary monarchy. It has a GDP of US $6.2 billion, which gives a GDP per capita of 172,000 US dollars, and the asset under management are 170 billion US dollars, and there is no government's debts at all. So I'm wondering when I can slide over to the next slide here. Or you just get the information that somebody else is sliding over. Yes, please, the next slide. Yes. So just to give you a glimpse of the history of Liechtenstein, because then you understand also the specifics of today's situation of Liechtenstein. So we have a strong affiliation to Austria, because after World War I, Liechtenstein economically almost collapsed, and then was orienting towards Switzerland. So we have at the moment still the custom union agreement and adoption of the Swiss franc, and this gave the country an impressive economic development especially after World War II. And in addition to the Swiss franc and the union agreement with Switzerland, we have a modern liberal company law and tax law, which was introduced. The company law was introduced in 1926, and the tax law, which was just reformed in 2014. We have a strong and rapid growth of the economy since 1950, and in addition to the above mentioned, we have other accompanying factors like the great political stability and legal security and continuity. So the next slide, please. Thank you. There was no war with conventional weapons for over 200 years. Liechtenstein is member of the various international organizations. So this gives Liechtenstein a good portion of security and stability in the heart of Europe, and therefore also an excellent starting point for persons looking to place assets. Next one, please. And this historical background with Switzerland and Austria has put Liechtenstein into hard decisions in the past, especially when it comes to the question, for instance, if Liechtenstein, as opposed to Switzerland, should join the European Free Trade Association, which Liechtenstein did in 1991. But also, as opposed to Switzerland, Liechtenstein also joined the European Economic Area, which is something very important to mention, especially when it comes to the differences to Switzerland, because now we are part of the European Union through the EEA, and we are enjoying the 4 European freedoms through that. And in addition, we still have the connection to Switzerland, especially when it comes to the sharing of the Swiss franc. So we still have the custom and monetary union with Switzerland, and we enjoy the stable and secure currency with Switzerland. This is a unique combination in Europe. Next one, please. If we talk about the International Financial Center, we see that, well, it's not a big portion, but at least 7% of the Liechtenstein workforce is employed in the international financial sector, but this sector produces 30% of the all-over GDP in Liechtenstein. We still have the AAA rating from Moody's as well as Standard & Poor's with a stable prospect. So I think these are good ingredients to see that this is a stable country. Next one, please. When we talk about bank secrecy and an international financial center, just lately with all these international movements towards transparency, we have to see that Liechtenstein has done, especially after a big case in 2008, the so-called LGT case, Liechtenstein had improved extremely since then when it comes to implementing standards of rules in the money laundering and financing of terrorism field. So meanwhile, we have good grades when it comes to that as well. We have standards which are applicable as our neighboring countries like Germany and Austria have. So this gives Liechtenstein also the opportunity to have a strong protection from abuse, from Liechtenstein as being a financial center, from abuse, from whatever abuse. There's a strong supervision body through the Financial Market Authority. So this gives Liechtenstein a clean image which is beneficial to clients. On the other hand, we have a strong commitment for the interests of clients of the International Financial Center. So protection, respectively asset protection, is still a big issue and wherever there is a possibility to claim that even in this modern world of transparency, there is the need of clients to protect their assets also when it comes to be not transparent with all the assets. This is when Liechtenstein comes into the spot, claiming, well, this is even more true in a transparent world. So, next slide, please. What are the basis for the banking and professional secrecy? The roots are the Swiss and the Lee bank secrecy, which dates back to 1923. Then this was integrated into the Banking Act in 1965 as a bank client secrecy. So Liechtenstein has a very strict professional secrecy. In addition, for trustees, lawyers, and insurers. And there is no treaty on mutual assistance in criminal matters with any CIS member state. So please, next one. So Liechtenstein is a forerunner today when it comes to the fight against money laundering and terrorism, but this has also the relaxed duties of Liechtenstein when it comes to confidentiality. So Liechtenstein was very sensitive of weighing up to have this image as a clean financial place on the one hand, but on the other hand also protecting clients' interests as protection. So this was and still is a big issue around here. Asset protection should not be mixed up, as we all know, with the question of tax evasion or even tax fraud. So this for sure is, according to the Liechtenstein Criminal Code, these are predicate crimes for the so-called money laundering provision in the Criminal Code. Although we all know that we have this intense worldwide trend for the reduction of the bank secrecy. So yes, today we have to see through regulatories like the FATCA regime, the automatic exchange of information regime, the base erosion and profit shifting regime, all these regimes tending to more transparency. They are applied in Liechtenstein. So this is something we have to see. Yes, we fulfill all these standards on the one hand, and we still profit from the regimes where we can protect the assets of our clients. So please, next. We can see here where we are now. I mentioned already the anti-money laundering provision of the anti-money laundering European guideline the European guideline against money laundering. So as you can see, the so-called BO register was postponed until 2020, but from January 1st, 2020, this year, we have this economic register in place. What does it mean? It is not a public register. So especially when it comes to entities such as the foundation, the trust, or the so-called foundation similar establishment. Establishment is a very unique entity, which is a mixture between a corporation and a foundation. So the one form of an establishment, which is the foundation-like establishment, is also within this measure that this BO register is not public at all. So you cannot have access, nor can foreign tax authorities have access to that public register. So it is held it has to be run, but only for Liechtenstein authorities, such as the state attorney, of course, when it comes to criminal issues, has access to it. Respectively, the Liechtenstein tax authority has access to it. Then we have, of course, as mentioned, the automatic exchange of information agreements, the various respectively implementing the common reporting standards here in Liechtenstein. I have mentioned the BEPS regime. So these are the transparency trends imposed by organizations. But we also have the transparency trends imposed by single jurisdictions, such as double tax treaties and tax information exchange agreements. Liechtenstein has already, meanwhile, a double tax treaty net of 25 double tax treaties, which was concluded lately. That was end of June, the one with the Netherlands, based on the OECD model treaty. And of course, we have these international aims of the controlled foreign company rules. I understand that Ukraine is on the way or has already established such a regime. So this is something which is imposed by the single jurisdictions. So it is a worldwide trend. And this will continue for sure, and we have to do our best to comply on the one hand, that's for sure, but on the other hand, still to upkeep our values. So next one, please. So what are the benefits of complying with these transparency trends? It was the delisting of Liechtenstein from various black lists like the EU, OECD, and also from the Russian blacklist. As mentioned, we have, meanwhile, this is an old figure, not 20, but 25 double tax treaties. You can see also other jurisdictions that we have double tax treaties with. Here on the slide, we have, meanwhile, a worldwide recognition as being onshore, as opposed to the end of the 1990s, where we were, I would say, black as black can be. I have to say it as it is. I have, as an Austrian citizen, come to Liechtenstein in 2000, in the year of 2000, August 2000. And I was very much astonished about what I have seen. So this was, as you can imagine, a big shift from this offshore to onshore. But truly today, I would say yes, Liechtenstein is onshore and complies with all the rules, not only as by being forced, but in some cases even to be the forerunner, which sometimes gives the advantage of being acknowledged as such. But on the other hand, like when we come to innovations like the token law, Liechtenstein has established respectively there has come into force a new token law, the first fully integrated token law in the world, I can say. And on the one hand, you have the possibility to structure shares of company or any type of ownership through token and the respective companies, and this is a very nice tool to structure. On the other hand, in general, if you have this new token law, it will not long last very long when we are going to be in a competition with other jurisdictions that have implied what Liechtenstein has done. So I hear from the Liechtenstein government that we have a good number of people coming to Liechtenstein to see how it works and what are the pros and cons of the system, and to apply their own token law in their country. So it has ups and downs, this kind of innovation system, but still we enjoy now the ups as a forerunner in, for instance, in this token law. Then we have still traditional tools, and if I talk about the Liechtenstein Foundation as well as the Liechtenstein, it is a common law trust. They are again flourishing, especially in these times, expecting further restrictions in some countries when it comes to finance and to overcome issues like the one which causes the problem that we cannot see each other, the corona issue. So this will for sure be something that we will see, that assets will be moving around the world just to be on the safe side. So it is something that we have to see, that yes, there will be a trend of moving abroad, but this has to be taken care very carefully, this question, and we have to be very careful when we do structuring with this in this world of transparency. So that's for sure. Yes, please, the next one. So when we talk about structuring, next one, please, the Liechtenstein Foundation is still one of the traditional tools, most probably, at least from the term foundation, well known to any one of you. But when it comes to the details, and I will not go too far into the details. I can see. Am I still? Yes, I'm still within the time frame. So let's go through quickly. Especially when we talk about the difference between how can I structure my wealth in the future, especially when it comes to structuring the wealth for the second generation. And then we have the possibility to look through, which everybody knows, the testament, respectively. Are there any other tools? Yes, they are. So we always, when it comes to structuring and succession planning, we have to see the differences between a foundation and a testament setup. So a foundation obviously is an entity, a judicial entity. The assets which are brought in by the founder become legally independent. The foundation has no members. So Anthony just pointed out in his previous presentation the trust regime. So the foundation works very similar, especially when we talk about the differences between a trust and a foundation. The foundation is a legal entity as opposed to a trust setup, which is a contract. So there is I would say, one of the ups of a Liechtenstein of a foundation in general, as opposed to the trust, that we have the qualification as being a legal entity that holds rights and liabilities itself, and is not held through a trustee who holds these rights for and on behalf of the beneficiaries. So the foundation has no members. It is not a corporation, but only has beneficiaries. The the foundation's assets will be enjoyed according to the founder's will. The Liechtenstein Foundation, as mentioned, is a very old regime. It is, by the way, the first foundation law in the world from 1926 for private foundations, by the way. And in 2009, it was renewed and built up a little more modern, but based on the principles of the old law. Next, please. Here is an overview of how the Liechtenstein Foundation is structured. So on the top, we still have the founder. The founder plays an important role, especially at the beginning when the foundation is going to be set up. So he signs the respective foundation documents like the statutes, bylaws, which are the constitution, which is the constitution of the foundation. He nominates the board members as well as the protector, if there is one in place. So it is not obligatory to have a protector, but it makes sense to have a protector. And the foundation itself has all the various assets forms that you can think of. So everything that can be held by a private individual can also be held by a foundation. So it's not only bankable assets, but also art pieces, real estate, token, as I said, etc. So all this can be held by the foundation, and we of course have also the beneficiaries who will finally benefit from all these assets. Next, please. So what is the advantages of the Liechtenstein Foundation? It has a complete freedom. The founder has a complete freedom regarding whom, when, how, and under which conditions there will be a beneficial rights. So he can shape the beneficial rights according to his thoughts, to determine the amount, timing, distribution, and set the terms and conditions. Of course, there is also an anti-spoiling provision. That means to avoid the spoiling of underaged, respectively, according to the certain age that the founder deems fit for. Then we have the class of beneficiaries, which is normally the founder's family members. So the beneficial interest arrangements can be modified according to the founder's will, according to a special provision in the statutes. Next, please. Maybe let's go a little bit further, so we can also touch base on the. There's a couple of slides further on the principles of the tax system, because I could imagine that most of you have some ideas about the foundation, but not maybe about the Liechtenstein tax system. So there will be, I think, 3 or 4 slides maybe ahead. Can you move ahead, please? Further. Yes, here we go. So also to understand, of course, Liechtenstein has a tax system. Maybe the next slides, so we do not have some over. Yeah, here we go. So we have to see that Liechtenstein has a double-folded tax system. On the one hand, we have the corporate taxation, as you can see here. Here is, it has the corporate tax rate is 12.5. It is a flat rate, and we call it the so-called regular corporate taxation. If there is a loss in the respective year, there's still a minimum tax of 1,800. Sorry, this is wrong here. It should be 1,800 Swiss francs per year. There is a loss carry forward option with no time limitation. We have a notional interest deduction of 4%. you can restructure, merge, split, tax neutral. There's an international group taxation. The IPOX of 2.5 corporate tax on license fees is still running, but this is a running out regime through the pressures having the pressures from international organizations. Next, please. If you look at the corporate tax, it is also important to see which exemptions are there, especially the ones for dividends and capital gains on the sale of shares. There is no tax in Liechtenstein on rental, lease, income for foreign real estates, and gains from selling real estate are also tax-free, as well as the foreign the profits of foreign permanent establishments. I think I've come to the end of my time. Adam, are you still here?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Alexander. If you feel you've really finished, then I would still try to.
Not really, but but
no,
I think
we are trying to be flexible. The important thing is to really deliver your message. So please feel free to finish your point. Maybe you can skip a part of your presentation to allow more time for the questions which are coming in. So I'll also be happy to give you more time to answer a couple of questions. Please decide what you
I think best. The message should be Liechtenstein has shifted through the last decade, I would say, very strongly from offshore to onshore. So we do, of course, comply with international rules when it comes to transparency. We do our best to implement Liechtenstein rules and to go according to the leeways that those international provisions are delivered to Liechtenstein. So there are, for instance, in the automatic exchange of information agreement that Liechtenstein has with the European Union, there are some leeways that Liechtenstein has gone very far when it comes to the application of the common reporting standards. So Liechtenstein is applying to those international transparency trends. But on the other hand, Liechtenstein does a lot to protect its tools, foremost the tool of the Liechtenstein Foundation, which is of course an economic factor in Liechtenstein, to protect this and to further develop along the rules that international organization put on Liechtenstein. So together with, I would say, a very beneficial tax law that I couldn't finish so far because opposed to the regular taxation of 12.5 for the so-called corporate taxation, there is also a taxation, a lump sum taxation of 1,800 Swiss francs for so-called private asset structures. And so with this tool of the private asset structure taxation of 1,800 Swiss francs per year, I think this is a very good place to structure your wealth, even in those, or especially in those days coming up when we will see a trend of international movement of wealth.
Okay, so, thank you very much. Yes, are you finished?
Yes.
Okay, Alexander, thank you so much. That was so informative, and I realize it is really difficult to squeeze in all the precious information that you have into just 30 minutes. So let's, as I said, let's try to be flexible. Let's use the time to share some questions with you. If you think that these questions are best answered at the Q&A, or you wish to use the opportunity to ask the person asking that question to specify it, please do that. On the other hand, certain short, simple questions you can answer right now. I think I have one such question for you. Which bank has the best private banking in Liechtenstein? Are you able to tackle this sort of question?
That's a hard question, because well, private banking, I would say most of the Liechtenstein banks are specialized on private banking. So we can even go further. What are the criteria for being best? Is it best because they have the best performance, respectively? Do they have the best way how to approach clients with their consultancy? So we have this so-called, in the German banking area, in the German-speaking banking area, we have the so-called Fuchs letters, which always come to the conclusion that this year's Fuchs letters have chosen the LGT bank as being the best consulting bank in the German-speaking area. So LGT for sure is not only the biggest, but also, I would say, one of the best, if not the best, private banking bank in Liechtenstein. But as I said, we have at the moment 15 banking licenses here, so you can choose from the biggest, the LGT, to medium size. We have, I would say, the three big ones like LGT, VP Bank, and LLB. VP Bank has its ups on other sides, like when it comes to the handling of compliance matters. I would say VP Bank is, from my point of view, as being a practitioner in this country for 20 years, today is the best bank when it comes to dealing with compliance issues in this country. So it always depends what is the criteria for being best.
Okay. Most other questions are really quite generic, and so I would feel safer to ask them at the end. In fact, one of the participants tells me on the chat that they would also be okay to ask the question at the end. There's one more specific enough, I believe, even though it sounds pretty mysterious to me. What's the benefit of trusts from dividend aristocrats and Bitcoin crypto investment companies? Maybe you would be more competent than I am to answer this one. What do you think?
Can you repeat it again? I have to.
What's the benefit of trusts from dividend aristocrats and Bitcoin crypto investment companies? I'm not sure myself what the first category is supposed to mean, but the latter is probably more clear. Can you think of any benefits of trust over Bitcoin and crypto investment companies?
Well, these are very different setups. It depends on what is the aim of the client. So I cannot see on which basis there could be a comparison between the two. Sorry for that. I think it is.
And which may be a good point to make at this stage. Please, and I'm talking to the audience right now, the person asking this question, please specify what, in more detail, what sort of answer you're expecting, and then we can take care of it during the Q&A.